A few years ago, I bumped into an old school friend of mine, Aditi, at this cozy little coffee shop. Total chance encounter. You know the type you spot each other and there's a split second of, wait, is that, is that her? And then suddenly you're squealing, hugging way too tightly and giving rapid fire life updates like you're on fast forward. In 10 minutes flat, Aditi told me everything. New city, new role, big ambitions. She'd just attended a networking event, met some really interesting people, exchanged cards, made connections. The whole thing sounds so impressive. She had the charm, she had the ideas, and she even had a killer LinkedIn profile, polished headline, great photo, the works. And then, when she was telling me all of this, her voice suddenly dropped. She leaned in, wrapped both hands around her coffee cup, and almost whispered, Sarika, you know what? One of them called me back yesterday. And she paused, I froze. I could see it. Her fingers were twisted up the sleeve of the cup, and her cheeks were slightly flushed. She said, my mind went blank when I got that call. I couldn't speak. I ended the call like in 30 seconds. 30 seconds? Not just because she didn't know her work, not because she was not capable, but because she was terrified of being caught unprepared. And honestly, I have been there way too many times. Early on in my career, I once got an unexpected call from a client. I remember it so clearly. My phone rang, my heart started racing, and my brain just ran off without me. I picked up the phone, and suddenly my English, the language I supposedly spoke, felt brand new. And I rambled, I circled in sentences. I said things like, so basically, what I'm trying to say is, I said this like about 6 times. I wasn't dumb. I wasn't unqualified. I just had that real time pressure breathing down my neck. I have suffered. I have learned. I have learned how to pick up from there and move on confidently. And that's exactly what today's episode is all about. The moment when someone actually calls you back, when your heart starts pounding and your brain does those somersaults, when you feel like curling up instead of speaking up. Hello, hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips, the podcast where we learn to speak well, write well, and communicate really well, even on the days when our thoughts feel faster than our words. This is your little pocket of calm in a noisy world, a place where we talk about real conversations, real nerves, real mistakes, and how to handle them without sounding fake, without sounding rehearsed, or without sounding corporate. So, whether you're listening, doing your morning walk, whether you're stuck in traffic, you're folding laundry, or nervously rehearsing a conversation you know is coming, you're in the right place. Take a breath, unclench your jaw. You don't have to be perfect here, you just need to be present. Today, we're going to talk about how to speak confidently when someone calls you back, even when you don't feel ready. I'm going to walk you through 3 very simple, very lived in strategies, not theory, not fluff, real techniques that I've used, tested, messed up with, and refined. And here's the fun part, some of these techniques come from my earliest coaching days. So, you know what I was when I was teaching 10-year-old kids creative writing. Yes, kids. That's how I began my teaching career. Because if you can help a 10-year-old describe a volcano using 5 senses, the heat, the rumble, the smell of smoke, trust me, those same tools work beautifully when an adult's brain freezes during a callback. It's just a different age, but the panic is the same and the solution is the same. So if you've ever thought, I want him to call me back, but then what will I say if he calls me back? Then this episode is just for you. All right, grab your coffee, take a breath, let's roll. Let me ask you something. Have you seen your phone ring with an unknown number or maybe some number that you've already saved? And even then, your brain goes, oh no, what if they ask me something I'm not ready for? Why is this person calling me? What do I say? Your heart speeds up and your mind goes blank. You consider letting it ring and pretending you were in a meeting. Yeah, that kind of panic. Most panic in conversations doesn't come from lack of knowledge. It comes from lack of structure. Let me tell you a small story. Years ago, I was teaching creative writing to kids. One day, this little boy, Arnav, he raised his hand and he said, Ma'am, I want to write, but I don't know what to write next. I looked at his notebook. There were words everywhere. There were sentences starting and stopping, changing direction midway. His mind wasn't empty. His mind was actually too full. So I said, okay, pause. Let's not write that perfect story. Instead, on his notebook, I drew 3 boxes. I named the first one beginning, the second one middle, and the last one ending. That's it. I told him, just tell me what happens in each box, one beat at a time. And then something magical happened. He relaxed, he smiled, and suddenly the story flowed beautifully, effortlessly. The same ideas, the same imagination, but now with confidence. And that's when it hit me. Adults panic in conversations for the exact same reason. There are too many thoughts, no handle to hold on to. So let's bring this back to the callbacks and the callback anxiety. Let's say you attended a meeting, an interview, maybe a networking event, and from there, someone calls you back. You were not prepared for that call, and your brain screams, oh my God, what do they want? What should I say? Where do I even start? I'm going to give you a solution, a simple, straightforward, smart solution, which is not a script, which is not a bulletproof prep. I'll give you a mini structure of 3 anchors. 1, 2, and 3. So before you answer that call, even if you have 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, ask yourself this 1, 2, 3. 1. What's my purpose? Why did I connect with this person at an interview, at the networking event, at the meeting? All right? So what is your purpose? What is my purpose? Not the other person's purpose. Number 2. What do I want them to remember? Is it my product or service? Is it something I was trying to sell to them? What is it that I want them to remember? And number 3, what's my ask? What do I want from here? Next steps? Do I need a confirmation? Do I need a timeline? Do I need another meeting with them? So just ask yourself these 3 anchors. What is my purpose? What do I want them to remember? And what is my ask from here on? This tiny structure gives your brain a scaffold to lean on when the nerves hit. You don't need the perfect words, you just need a direction. Now, a quick real life example. You remember Aditi, my school friend I told you about? Networking events used to completely drain her. So I suggested her one small habit. After every conversation, she wrote down on her notepad one line: who they were, what they discussed, what mattered. That's it. So when someone called her back days later, she glanced back at her note. She recalled the 2-3 points. And now she was confident. The anxiety completely dropped. She sounded calm, clear, and actually that callback turned from anxiety to something more productive, more useful. It was the same person with the same skills. Now she only had a structure. So here's my challenge to you. Next time you attend an event, don't just wait for people to call you. You call them. Use the same mini structure to call them. The purpose, the points, and the ask. What is my purpose? What do I want them to remember? And what is my ask from here on? You'll be shocked at how confident you sound. Try it, and when it works, tell me. I love sharing your wins. DM me or tag me on Instagram at Communicate101 the next time you're attending a networking event. I'm always sharing simple, real life tricks to help you become a better communicator while sitting at home. And trust me, sometimes confidence isn't about knowing more. It's just about knowing where to begin. The phone rang. Parky had studied every detail. She knew the answers inside out. On papers, she was flawless. But the moment she said, "Hello," her heart jumped to her throat, her hands gripped the edge of the desk, and her words tumbled out, fast, jumbled, and completely unrecognizable. It wasn't that she didn't know her stuff. It was that her body had hijacked the situation before her brain could even catch up. I told her one simple 10 seconds trick. And this is a magical trick. You can use it anytime when panic hits. Number 1, take 3 slow breaths. Give yourself a long exhale, means breathe out long, and give yourself short inhale. Okay? 3 breaths where you have long exhale and short inhale. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? While you're doing this, try to sit with your shoulders relaxed and make sure your feet are flat on the floor. Try to smile a little when you're taking these 3 slow breaths. 10 seconds trick, actually it takes way less than that because all you're doing is you're taking 3 slow breaths, long exhale and short inhale. When Parky did this, initially she hesitated for a second. But when she did it, here's what happened. Her voice slowed. The words came out in the right order. And her ideas, which were already in her head, flowed like a calm river instead of a stormy waterfall. 10 seconds. That's all it took. Why does this work? Because your brain listens to your body. When you do shallow breathing, when you're sitting in a tight posture, your body thinks it's in danger. And suddenly speaking feels like walking a tightrope over a canyon. But when you ground yourself, your posture signals stability and your brain goes, okay, we are steady. When you're breathing with those long exhales and short inhales, the breathing resets your system. Your heart slows down, your muscles relax, and your mind clears. And when you give that tiny little smile, smiling hacks your emotions. Even a tiny grin releases dopamine and oxytocin, and suddenly your brain says, I'm safe, I've got this. That's what you need. Confidence doesn't come from forcing courage. It comes from creating safety. And because this is a scientific technique, it works. There's one tiny upgrade which you can add to this, which works like magic. I'm talking about micro pauses. Just half a second after each sentence. And suddenly your words will stop tumbling, your ideas will line up perfectly, and you'll sound calm, collected, and confident. The best thing, you don't sound rehearsed. You sound grounded. You can do this before a call, before a meeting, before speaking up. So what you do is, you breathe slowly with 3 slow breaths. Long exhale, short inhale. Sit with your shoulders relaxed, feet flat on the floor. and give a tiny little smile. Sharing the third strategy to get rid of callback anxiety, where? In the next segment. Let me tell you about my cousin Priya. She absolutely hated callback calls. The mere thought of the phone ringing would make her heart start rehearsing answers while it was still buzzing. And by the time she picked it up, she sounded so tense, so rushed, and so robotic, like a robot who just learned how to panic. The problem? She wasn't talking. She was performing for them. Instead of having a conversation, she was trying to impress. And that, my friend, is a one-way ticket to Panic City. Welcome aboard. Because panic hits when we think, oh, I have to get this perfect. Forget about this perfect thing. Just talk. One small mental tweak that changes everything is that you focus on understanding the other person, not impressing them. You can ask a clarifying question, you can listen for keywords, you can repeat those keywords, or you can paraphrase what you've heard. And based on that, you respond thoughtfully, not robotically. I'm reminded of my teaching days when I used to run this exercise called Write with Your Five Senses. Some kids would freeze if they tried to impress me with fancy alliteration. One girl, I remember, just an 8-year-old kid, she kept writing the pitter patter of the precipitation. She was doing the alliteration with the letter P. Her brain was doing backflips because she was trying to sound fancy. I was kind of enjoying it, but I leaned in and I said, just tell me what you see, what you hear, what you feel. Forget about the alliteration. And just like that, her shoulders dropped, her face relaxed, and her words flowed. Rain hit my shoes, splashing mud. I smelled wet earth. Suddenly she was alive, she was real. She had stopped performing, and she showed me her real world. The same principle works for us grown-ups. The shift from I have to be perfect to I want to understand them. This shift is magical. Suddenly the conversation flows instead of feeling like a test. I saw this in action again with another client on a follow-up call. She hesitated, unsure what to say. Instead of blurting out some canned answer, she tried a tiny shift. Hey, what's on top of your mind right now? The minute she said this, everything changed. She listened first, responded second. Calm, confident, clear. And the conversation, it unfolded naturally. She even added more value than she'd expected. Why? Because she had stopped judging herself mid-sentence, which most of us do. When you focus on the other person, the spotlight moves off your nerves. You speak from a place of clarity and authority. I would suggest after every call, take a minute. Ask yourself, what went well? What felt awkward? What will I do differently next time? Think of it like my young writers reading their stories aloud. Just one thing that worked, the one thing was, how will I improve? Callback confidence is exactly the same. It's a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it gets. If you want a step-by-step guide on building this kind of calm, confident, engaging conversation, whether it's callbacks, client calls, or even a tricky team discussion, I break it all down in my masterclass on becoming the most confident version of yourself. We dive into these mental shifts, exercises, and practical tips so that you can speak naturally every time. No fake bravado, no loud confidence. But that calm, grounded presence where your body supports your mind, your ideas, they flow naturally and you show up fully without that pressure. Because you've unlocked inside yourself true confidence. If you want to join the waitlist for this masterclass, just message me waitlist for the masterclass on my Instagram, which is Communicate 101. I'll make sure your seat isn't taken. Because wanting to become confident means your confident self is already there. Trust me, once you master this shift, your phone ringing won't feel like an exam. It'll feel like an opportunity. In the next episode, we are diving into something that everyone wants: how to become truly approachable. Imagine people leaning in when you speak, colleagues seeking your opinion, even strangers warming up to you instantly. Sounds like magic, right? It's not magic, it's science. It's about the mindset. It's about the tiny shifts in how you show up. If you've ever felt ignored in a room, or like people just nod politely but never really connect, the next episode is just for you. We'll break down the exact habits and subtle signals that make people want to talk to you. You don't want to miss it. Hit the subscribe or follow button so that you don't miss any episodes to skill up your communication skills for free, sitting in your comfortable space. Until then, take a deep breath, step into your conversations with calm, confidence, and remember, your voice is ready. You just have to show up. Thank you for listening to this episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips with Sarika Singh. If you want to be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow the podcast. I'll be back to share more stories, more life experiences, and more communication tips every Friday. If you want to reach me or connect with me, just put your comments in the comment box below or mail me at info@sarikasingh.in. I know you're going to rate and review this podcast, so a big thank you in advance. Stay tuned and think about what we talked today.